This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction to the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction after every single game. My name is Jonathan Shields, and man, it is just good to get a win, however we can get them at this point. So make sure you guys also go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. We're going to break down every single part of this win, how it was a very complete win and a very June-like win. I say very June-like win because when the Rays were dominant in June, this is what it looked like a lot of the time, just like this. We're talking about how I think this might have been the best Drew Rasmussen has looked in probably 2 months. He thoroughly impressed me today. But first, we got to talk about the home run party that the Rays had today.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Yandy gets a start in the first inning, little Oppo taco, but it was a Steinbrenner special. But again, it was about time the Rays got one of those, and especially Yandy. Yandy is kind of made for that short porch, and he took advantage of it not once but twice, and that's why he's our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
3 for 4 with 2 fantastic defensive plays. I mean, in the game where the Rays needed, right, try to stay on track, try to get any kind of steps forward. Yandy was at his best, the best he's been since June, really. Yeah, he was incredibly good today, and those 2 home runs proved it. The first one was a little kind of short porch shot. The second one, a 341, I think it was. It's a home run at 3 stadiums, so but even if they're not home runs, those are doubles, whatever, not triples. I was going to say triples, even though Yandy does have a triple this year. Doubles for Yandy, even for not home runs. But he's the best when he goes up the middle to the other way, and when he goes to the other way at Steinbrenner, good things happen. So by far the player of the game today was Yandy. But if we were to do co-players of the game, Drew Rasmussen would have to kind of factor into that. He went 5 1/3, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, was just in the zone a ton. And the biggest key I said yesterday, even though Shane Baz only walked two Dodgers, both those Dodgers came in to score. Rays, 11 strikeouts, no walks. Biggest key of the game by far today. And Drew was all in the strike zone. I mean, he dominated Shohei Ohtani. I think that is Shohei has 6 at-bats against him. Drew Rasmussen has 5 strikeouts. He had another 2 today. I mean, he was just dominant today on the mound. And this was very May Drew Rasmussen-like when he would go through and just dominant, go 5-6 innings every time, a few hits, no runs, and he was right back to that recipe today. And he was incredibly good. And again, one of the best outings he's had in the last 6-ish weeks. So super happy for him and, happy for the Rays, man. Complete win. I thought the defense was very good as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, and then to continue on, when things got a little bit dicey for Drew, they went to Garrett Cleavinger in the top of the 6th, and that's where we get to our turning point of this game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
It's that 6th inning when, there's the bunt single from Rojas gets on. Rasmussen gets Mookie Betts out. And then, Cleavinger comes in against 2 really good lefties, probably 2 of the 5 best lefty hitters in baseball. And then first pitch, there were good pitches from Rasmussen. Doesn't matter. Bases loaded in literally a blink of an eye. And then you have to leave Cleavinger in there for at least 3 batters. And Teoscar Hernandez comes up, who's a known Rays killer, but so far, knock on wood, not this series. And Cleavinger gets him to bounce in a incredibly clutch double play. And that double play is a turning point because it felt like that was going to be the moment that if the Dodgers come back, it's going to be this inning starting it. And the Rays never let them get started. And it was such a good play by Taylor Walls. Hyun Kim had an athletic turn, and Teoscar was not running all that hard. So it made it even easier. So, a lot of positives to take from this game. And, I think there's even room to be more optimistic. Like the Rays were not world beaters offensively by any means. I mean, Blake Snell really dominated them. I mean, the Rays struck out 13 times today. That's not good enough. 13 strikeouts to no walks for the Rays. There was not a walk in this game. But, it was the timely hits and the big hits. A lot of the times when the Rays offense is going, a home run ball is a big part of it. During this stretch, they've hit kind of less and less home runs. And, like no home runs yesterday. And, there are points where when this Rays offense at its best, it's the long ball is included, but it's not only the long ball. It's like some of these other teams that can beat you in so many different ways. For example, we saw Josh Lowe go the other way with a pitch. He really battled well against the lefty today with a bunt single and a stolen base. It's just kind of encapsulates everything the Rays do right in one player and how versatile they can be on offense. But, it was, again, anything to get back on track, anything to get off the losing streak. Now it's, okay, can the Rays win 5 of 6? That's kind of the next stretch in this. Even if the Rays, lose tomorrow, can they go and start the road trip winning 3 of 4, right? And I'm not saying the Rays are going to lose tomorrow, but, it's not of, how many games, and we talked about this a lot in the beginning of the season. It's not how many games can the Rays win in a row. In a 10-game sample size, in a 10-game stretch, can they win 8 of them? And the more games they have like that over the next 51 games of the season, the more likely they are to make the playoffs. And, I like that Cash didn't mess around. He threw Fairbanks, he threw Uceta, he threw Cleavinger, he threw 3 out of the 4 guys in their A bullpen right now. But against a lineup like this, you don't want to mess around. You don't want it to get interesting because too many of the Rays games have been interesting. It was finally nice to have one where the Rays kind of coasted through. So very, very good to see. But we're going to talk about how good this Rays defense was. We're going to look ahead to the game tomorrow, and we're going to get to your guys' comments right after this. This episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of all your favorite baseball drink minus alcohol and a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days you have more energy than others. You need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. You guys know yesterday I was struggling. A few yawns in yesterday's show. 5-Hour Energy would have done the trick perfectly for me. And baseball is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of the clubhouse to go to without chasing down the bev car or the beer vendor at a baseball stadium. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid until September 30th. Orders cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good. This code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes on 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusions, flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. So let's talk about the Rays defense because, the Rays had one of their cleaner games that they've had. No walks, no errors, no any of that. And it starts with Taylor Walls making a few nifty plays at short. But, Junior made a few very nice plays. One that Mookie hit right off the bat, smoked to him. He kind of squatted down, let the ball get to him, and made a strong throw. You still see some of the gaps in his defensive game, but for the most part, he's vastly improved from where he was in the beginning of the year to now at third base. So that is super, super encouraging to see because that was one of the knocks coming out when he was, ready for his first full season in the major leagues. He has not been the best defender, and he was really good today, and he's been really good for a majority of the last, back 2 months of the season. So, when you have a middle infield of Hyesung Kim and Taylor Walls or Brandon Lau, who's a good defender, even Yandy Diaz, who had 2 really good defensive plays today, you're going to get things done. So I thought the Rays defense, which is something that they kind of base themselves on, was really, really sharp again today. So again, one of those June-esque type wins for the Rays where, they didn't make any mistakes, they didn't beat themselves, and they took advantage of the opportunity when it was there. And they took care of any big threats that the Dodgers had. And again, they didn't beat themselves. I cannot tell you how many times the Rays have beat themselves during this horrific streak. But let's see if the Rays can, stack on a little bit. Tomorrow is, a huge game to maybe go win a series against the defending champs. It's going to be Yamamoto pitching for the Dodgers. He's 9-7 with 2.63 ERA. You don't normally see 7 losses associated with a 2.6 ERA, but he's been dominant. 133 strikeouts, 30 just to 39 walks, and this is his second season since he's came over. And I remember when he started at the beginning of last year, he wasn't all that strong, but now he has just been dominant. He has only had 2 outings this year where he's given up 4 or more runs. 2. That's just dominant stuff. And last time against the Reds, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, and another win. So, he has just been superbly good for the Dodgers. And, it's going to be on the Rays to try to get after him a little bit. Again, I think it's imperative for the Rays that they score first. They scored first today, and you kind of saw what happened. So that's a big key for the Rays kind of going forward. It's when they score first, they are better, obviously. And I think the biggest key tomorrow, especially against a guy like Yamamoto, when you have Joe Boyle going against him, go get your young pitcher a lead, right? And for Joe Boyle, him more than anyone needs to be in the zone tomorrow. We know he struggled with the walks at times during his career. So far this year, he has the 9 that bad, all things considering. He had 40 walks to just 56 strikeouts a year ago when he was with the A's. So the walks have been better, but he needs to continue on that. And we can't have a 3-walk game like he had, last inning or last outing against the Yankees. We need the 3 combined or 4 combined walks he had in his previous 4 outings before that. That's what we need at Joe Boyle. His stuff is so overpowering. If it's in the zone, it's going to be good. So now let's get to your guys' comments as we go to Jack's takes. Now that's the trade. Now that the trade deadline is passed, could it be that the win is a sign of new things to come? Too much hope is that too much to hope for? Raise up, he says. It's hard. Just like you can't get too down after every loss, you can't get too high after every win. And yes, I would love to come out here and say like this is going to be the team that's going to be going on the last 50 games. But we really don't know. Now I am very hopeful that it is, but I think we're going to see more of these type of games in the previous games, just because I think just the bullpen especially got a lot of those games out of their system. But again, it's hard you can't get too high or too low with every single loss. We've got I Love Legos. He said, good afternoon. I'm glad we won this game and got out of this nightmare that we had in July. Let's hope this month that the Rays fight and be resilient. Yeah, I agree. They need absolutely need it. And again, maybe what if this is a start of winning 6 of 8, right? Start of winning 10 of 12. Again, I think it's not as much about the win streaks. Obviously, if the Rays rattle off 6, 7 in a row, no one's gonna be complaining. But it's about those group games, every 10-game stretch. Are you positive during that 10-game stretch? And now the Rays just can't go 6-5 over an 11-game stretch, right? 5-4 over a 9-game stretch, 6-4 over a 10-game stretch. They need those 8-2 10-game stretches to really get back in this thing. As we go to Gary, he says this looks like the start of another streak. I really hope so. A lot of stuff that we talked about that the Rays did in this game, they did during that streak. As Don Hamilton says, what's your take on Theis being sent down? He wasn't productive enough. It's as simple as that. Again, he's not a great defensive catcher, and when he can't hit a fastball, it's tough to keep him up. So the Rays, I don't think Fortes or is any better necessarily. I don't think that's who they technically didn't replace him with that, but it's going to be interesting to see what this new catcher tandem looks like. Now it was a kind of a tough start for Fiducia to come in against a really tough lefty in Blake Snell, but I think he's a better defender than Theis, and he has a little bit more pop than Theis, and that's what the Rays are looking for. As we go to Mike H, he says, you said in the last 7 games, 12 innings pitched, 22 strikeouts, 3 walks, 0 earned runs. He's been dominant, and it's something that we really touched on during the last Rays win, and I've been tweeting out about it a bunch. I think he was at the point where it was the first his first 5 outings since All-Star break. It was, 14 strikeouts to 2 walks or something. And he just continues to be just so solid and really dominant for the Rays. And that's what the Rays need out of him. I think no one needed the break more than Edwin Uceta did. Since he got that break, he was able to come back, rest a little, because I think the Rays were using him too much. And now he's really settled into this 2-inning role that he can go to for the Rays. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Rays do tomorrow. I was a little bit surprised that they threw Fairbanks. Not because of the spot in the game, because the Rays don't have an off day till Thursday. They leave right from the game Sunday, go right to Anaheim. I'll be at the games Tuesday and Wednesday over there in Anaheim, so I'll be able to see them in person. There'll still be a postcast. Don't worry, we'll still be doing a postcast. But so it's going to be interesting to see how the bullpen is deployed tomorrow. Hopefully, we get a Griffin Jack sighting. Obviously, I think we'll see like a Mason Engler. Mason Montgomery, who's been pitching well, but the Rays used 3 of their 4 best bullpen pitchers today, which again, I agree with that they should have, but it really puts them in a pinch tomorrow. So hopefully that we get a pretty extended outing out of Joe Boyle, but he hasn't gone past 6 innings in an outing today. So that means if all goes well, you'll probably still need your bullpen to cover 3 innings, which hopefully the Rays are equipped for tomorrow. So his longest outing, he hasn't even gone past 5 innings in an outing. His most pitches in an outing this year was 95. So, if he's efficient, like we know he can be, he can get up to that, 6, hopefully even 7 innings. Like Drew Rasmussen was firmly efficient today because he wasn't walking anyone. When you start walking people, have those long at-bats, that's when your pitch count gets up, and that's when you have to rely on your bullpen even more. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Rays look like tomorrow. I appreciate all you guys joining in. Again, anytime the Rays win, you take it and you run with it right now. Make sure you guys leave a like before you get out of here, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon.